What's good? What's going on, boys, girls? How did you guys enjoy the UFC Fight Night Phoenix and the two Bellator cards this weekend? There's a lot of shit to talk about, so I think I'm going to take my time in two different episodes. One about mainly the main event, which will be this one, and then one about everything else, which will be the next one. First off, want to say thank you to everybody who came out to any of the streams this weekend. We had 3 of them. JFT Live, it will be in the homepage of this channel. If you want to take a look at that, we streamed the fights live. We're getting a lot better at it. We got a lot of annotation screen graphics coming up. But I don't want to waste too much time on that. Let's get to the main event. A couple of things to take away. First off, I take away at the fact that the UFC destroyed Bellator in every way, shape, or form with this card and this entire weekend as a whole. The UFC provided why they are the dominant brand in MMA and will be for a long, long time. We have Cain Velasquez, Francis Ngannou, two beastly heavyweights promoted as it should have been. The two-time heavyweight champion, Cain Velasquez, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, taking on the hardest hitter in MMA ever, I think. I think he's the hardest puncher to ever grace the UFC Octagon, which is the pinnacle of MMA excellence. Francis Ngannou, if this guy touches you, no matter who you are, you could be a prime Fedor, Cain, and Stipe Miocic mix on any given night at any given time. Francis Ngannou can put your lights out, and it's really that simple. Now, the big debate question of the weekend of the main event at Phoenix was the win a fluke? Did Francis rock Cain Velasquez, or was it the horrific bending of the knee that made Cain scream and go to the mat and not be able to get back up? Now, what would my opinion, what would my 2 cents be on the matter? I thought initially that Francis Ngannou KO'd him with an uppercut. He went limp and then his knee buckled. After further review, I stick with that mindset. I stick with Francis rocked him with an uppercut. He went a little limp, his knee buckled, and the injury occurred. Now, whether you are to believe that he did or didn't, I really don't care, to be honest. And I don't think anybody else should care. I don't think the UFC cares. He won the fight. Francis Ngannou, by first round in under a minute, in Francis Ngannou fashion, wins another fight, and now is picking up steam again. He's going to pick up some steam exactly how he did before, exactly what he deserved. Everybody said that he was overhyped. The hype train was too real for his fight against Stipe Miocic. What the UFC was telling you was that this guy hits harder than anybody else, and they were not lying in any way, shape, or form when it comes to the Predator Francis Ngannou. I think that they have a real star on their hands with that guy. I think that his mental side is a little weaker than his power. I think that he'll when he gets up, he'll get real up, and when he gets down, he'll get real down. But I think that he's learned a lot from coming back from the Stipe fight into the Derek Lewis fight, into the fight, the Curtis Blaydes fight, into this Cain Velasquez fight. He's definitely gaining some momentum back. All the criticizers who said Francis Ngannou can't wrestle, although the point still reigns true, we haven't seen Ngannou be able to wrestle of a very high level. He's taken out two back-to-back UFC top-level wrestlers in Curtis Blaydes, who took down Francis Ngannou and who took down Alistair Overeem and brutalized Alistair Overeem and Curtis Blaydes. And then you had Cain Velasquez, who's been doing it for years. If he can't strike with you, he's taking you down and he's going to pound you out. Another thing I took from this fight was the new wave of MMA and how the MMA game kind of is going to further grow. It's going to further go as it goes because of the fact that, man, do you guys notice how much power Francis Ngannou has? And it's a new wave. There's a lot of people coming into MMA now where we're seeing a lot more of it because of the fact that it's so open to everybody. Everybody seems like they have that power, and it's because there's so many people doing it. There's so many outlets. Back in the day, you could have a hard striker, but he would never make it in MMA because there just wasn't enough spots for you. Wrestlers were dominant back then. They're still dominant today, mainly, but the power is always there, and the finishing ability of some of these guys is ridiculous, especially for Francis Ngannou. This guy is disgusting. He's vicious. He is one of the scariest fighters in MMA. And if I had to match up with a heavyweight, it definitely would not be Francis Ngannou. I'm avoiding that name as much as I can. Let's speculate a little bit here with who do we see Francis Ngannou fighting next? Now, that's a good question because you have the champion, Daniel Cormier, who looks to be tied up with Brock Lesnar. Dana White had said at the conference or at the post-fight interviews or whatever the hell it is, when he recaps the events, which he normally does for pay-per-views and fight nights and all the rest. He said that we have a fight lined up for DC. Now, I think we can all assume that that fight is either going to be Brock Lesnar or Stipe Miocic. And if it's not Stipe Miocic, for this prediction, for this analysis, we're going to go off of the fact that it's not Stipe, it is Brock Lesnar. It raises the question, what's next for Francis? Now, I think the UFC might entertain a Francis Cain Velasquez rematch, but I don't think they'll go that route. I think that the Derek Lewis fight makes a lot of sense to redeem both of those guys in a good fight. Derek Lewis coming off the loss to Daniel Cormier, and he won the fight against Francis Ngannou, and Francis Ngannou, who had that atrocious first fight. And I think that we see a more attacking, a more push the pace Francis Ngannou if they match up again. And I'm taking Francis in that fight. And I'm going to say this, by the end of 2019, I think the heavyweight champion will be Francis Ngannou. I think that all the promotion they did in that Stipe fight, all of it that came back to bite Francis Ngannou in the, I think that was all fair. It was all fair. It was all fair critique of Francis Ngannou. This guy's just uber powerful. He has so much power in his hands, and if you didn't realize that from when he KO'd Alistair Overeem with that huge uppercut, then I don't know what's wrong with you. In the next week or so, we're going to do something more. We're going to do more on Francis Ngannou. Either we're going to do a career retrospective or not, but we're going to do more information on Francis Ngannou. Hopefully, some more things start to clear up when it comes to the heavyweight division and what Daniel Cormier's future is. I just want to see that division free itself up against, when Stipe was the champion, this guy was fighting everybody. And now that Daniel Cormier is the champion, as much as he's calling out everybody to get more fights, to earn their keep. I hate when fighters, especially champions, do that. I want to see you fight. I want to see you keep the division moving. I don't want to see somebody pause and say, I'm going to wait for Brock Lesnar, a guy that's not fought in how many ever years, because I want the money fight. If you're going to call out Brock Lesnar, call him out when he's ready to fight, when he's been in the USADA pool, when you know it's a possibility. Because right now you called him out, and now we're in this period of no active heavyweight champion, three-time, the longest reigning heavyweight champion, demanding a rematch. He's not fighting. Then you have Derek Lewis, and you have Francis Ngannou, and all those guys just going to wait out shots at the heavyweight belt. And if you're going to argue with me, Derek Lewis fighting Cormier was a title defense, fucking bullshit. Derek Lewis had the puncher's chance, but we all knew Cormier was going to win that fight. It was a safe fight. It was an easy fight. Give the contenders that are in line the next fight. I understood why the UFC did it. I wouldn't bash the UFC for doing it. But since they did it, let's move on and get serious with the heavyweight division. John Jones, if you're going to come up. But don't hold up all these heavy divisions, because they're some of the more exciting divisions in MMA, and we want to see these guys throw it down. We want to see more of what we saw in that heavyweight matchup, more hype that we saw in that Sunday matchup, and that's all we can ask for. I want you guys in the comment section below to tell me, was the win for Francis Ngannou because of his power, or was it because of Cain's knee buckling? And do you guys think that it took Francis's win and gave it a hit because of the way it happened, because of the way it could have appeared to so many? I give Francis his due. Francis is the man, a danger for anybody, and I'm excited to see where they go from there. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has just been a quick update on this whole situation. We have more news in MMA, which we'll come to, and then we'll talk about the Bellator cards, just the disappointment that was. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to subscribe, the button's right down below. If you want to watch more videos, I'll put some up on screen. But if you're have a wonderful day. That's all I can say.